4 years ago this week, we arrived in Lanzarote to start our new life here in Playa Blanca. How did things go for us? Did everything work out to plan? Would we do anything differently? And what have we learned in those 4 years? That's all coming up after this intro. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to Playa Blanca in Lanzarote. So yes, this week it's 4 years since we moved from the UK to Lanzarote in Spain for our new life, and you can imagine it. We arrived here around about lunchtime, and more specifically this villa behind me, number 23 at Coral Beach Villas, and we'd not got anywhere permanent to live. So this was our rental for a month, and in that time we were hoping to find a long-term rental. So were we mad? Were we brave? Well, lots of people said we were brave. I'm sure lots of people thought we were absolutely stark raving mad. We arrived here about lunchtime, as I said, and we had our 2 suitcases with us, and most of our possessions that we were having shipped over were probably at the dock still, on the dockside in Liverpool, waiting to be shipped over and probably arriving in 4 or 5 weeks time. And we hadn't got anywhere permanent to live after this. Yes, I suppose we could have extended this for a lot longer, but it was costing us around about €2,000 a month. So we were anxious to find somewhere to live fairly soon. Anyway, we'd lined up a couple of places to look at, actually the afternoon that we'd arrived. And perhaps one thing that we didn't realise is how difficult it was, certainly in Lanzarote and in Playa Blanca, to get a long-term rental. You could say they're like gold dust, and the price now is absolutely really out of it. You know, the price is so high for long-term rentals if you can actually get hold of one. So imagine arriving here and not having anywhere to live, and then finding that you just couldn't get a long-term rental. Anyway, partly because the COVID restrictions were on at the time, we were very fortunate. There weren't many people looking for long-term rents, and so we actually viewed a property the day that we arrived in the afternoon, and we took a couple of days to think about it, and then yes, we signed on the bottom line and we got ourselves a property sorted. So was that pure luck, or was it the plan? Well, we did arrange to the viewings before we came, so I suppose yes, it was the plan. But I was frightened by the dog going past. Yes, we arranged the viewings before we came, so I suppose you could say that was the plan, and it did go to plan. Would we do anything differently now? Well, probably. Gosh, it's so windy today. It was quite refreshing because it's been very hot. Yes. Hope you can hear me over the wind. Yes, I think now, if I was doing it again, I would secure somewhere to rent before I came here. Certainly if I was coming here to Lanzarote, because as I said, the long-term rentals are so difficult to get. So I think the only reason that we didn't, and we did think about it before we came here, the only reason that we didn't is because of COVID restrictions, and we suddenly made the decision that we were going to move. Is that coming here and getting back to the UK could have been quite difficult at the time. So as we were only on a one-way flight, it didn't really matter about going back. So yeah, I'd looked to secure a property before I came. Of course, depending on where you are in Spain, depends on the availability, and I think, you know, I've looked online, and certainly in mainland Spain, there's lots of rental properties available. So it's a case of just researching the area that you're going to and having a look and seeing what's available. Well, once we'd secured our rental property, we started searching for houses. Having said that, we'd obviously been looking online before we came here, and we had a particular area in mind, around the Faro Park area, and we had a particular type of house in mind, and obviously we had our budget set. We'd seen a particular house that I liked very much, needed a bit of TLC, and it was a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom, single-storey house, a private swimming pool right on the front, and it was being advertised for sale for €299,000, and that was around about where we'd set our budget. So we wanted to have a look at it, but unfortunately the owner had decided that he was renting it out long term instead. And it just seemed that suddenly prices started to shoot up. I mean, we were thinking for that kind of house, yeah, around about the 300, 320 mark, something like that. And then, you know, that would have left us quite a bit of money left in the budget to do whatever we wanted to do to the house and furnish it and everything else that we wanted to do. So then suddenly houses around that were going for 325, 330, 340, and then going up to sort of even we saw one at 380. So I was sort of starting to panic a little bit about house prices going up so quickly in such a short space of time, and by so much. So we looked at a house that I really liked, and it was at 340, and I just thought, yeah, I'm quite interested in that. Anne just didn't like it. She said, no, we're not panicking, we're not being pushed into buying something we don't want, and she was probably, well, she was right about it. There's no probably about it, she was definitely right about it. So we held on. We got our initial rental for 6 months, and then we extended it for another 6 months, and just as we were coming up to the end of our lease, we found this house that we really liked. We both liked it, and to cut a long story short, we bought it. It was way over our budget. It was a bigger house, 3-bedroom house, 2-storey house, large plot, but we absolutely fell in love with it, and it was within our means, so we decided to buy it, which didn't leave us an awful lot of money left for renovations or any additions that we might want to do. Having said that, there was nothing wrong with it. We needed to replace the kitchen, which we've just done, and I've done a video on that if it's something that interests you. Other than that, really, we've not done much to the house other than refurnish it and done things bit by bit in the garden over time, just to make everything as we want it and make everything look nice. So would I do anything differently, or did everything go to plan? Well, no, I wouldn't do everything differently. We really like the house that we're in. Did it go to plan? No. Our budget was around about the 300,000 mark. We ended up pushing over 400, so that didn't go to plan. Would we do anything differently? No, definitely not, because we'd done our research. We knew where we wanted to live. The area where we are has got all the amenities close by, the bus route as well, and we've got this fantastic view of the sea, which is only 500 metres away. So no, as far as property is concerned, renting, could have done things differently. Buying, maybe if we bought earlier, we would have saved ourselves some money, but at the end of the day, we've got what we wanted, and so we're both very happy. I suppose the next thing to talk about is navigating the Spanish bureaucracy. Of course, everybody talks about Spanish bureaucracy as if bureaucracy doesn't exist anywhere else in the world, or as if it doesn't exist in the UK. I suppose the fact is that in the UK we've grown up with it, we understand it, we understand the language, and if we don't understand it, we know where to go to ask for the answers to any of our questions. But obviously in Spain it's completely different. Procedures, yes, are different. The language is different, and so that can be a barrier. And I mean, I read all kinds of things. Before we came here, getting the visas, we didn't have any help. There wasn't any help available in those days. I mean, it's only 4 years ago, but the UK had only just left the EU, so we were one of the first people to apply for visas, and from the UK, and so there really wasn't the same level of help out there as there is now. So I just had to read everything. I read all the immigration rules and everything that was required for the visa, and just did it. So then when we arrived here, it's getting a bit windy now. When we arrived here, firstly we had to get the stamp in the passport when we arrived at the airport, and the border guards just kept saying, the border police said, no, you don't need a stamp in the passport. And we just had to insist, yes, we need a stamp in the passport. So eventually we got the required stamp in the passport, and then we had to get our TIE, our residency card, within 30 days. But in order to get the TIE, you needed to be on the padron, and in order to get on the padron, you needed either a property that you own, the deeds to the property, or a long-term rental, and we had neither. So firstly we had to get our long-term rental contract signed, and we took that to the town hall, and we got the padron, and then we went and got the TIE and did it all ourselves. I'm just taking this nice stroll up the coast, away from Faro Park area, in the general direction of the abandoned hotel. I think it's about 4k from here to the abandoned hotel. I've done that walk, and I've done a video on that walk if you're interested. Oh, look at this for a view. Somebody said to me once when I did a video on moving to Playa Blanca, he said, "Why would you want to move to Playa Blanca?" I says, let me think. Well, I've just come to sit in this little spot that I often come to, overlooking the sea, and it's sheltered from the wind. As you can probably gather now, it's an awful lot better than the wind. As I'm walking along, the wind is just rushing straight into my face, and probably not very good for the sound quality, but we'll see. So yeah, I love to come and sit down here and just look at this this little charco. It's quite popular with people coming down and just having a swim in this charco, or just sitting around sunbathing on the rocks. It's so picturesque and away from the crowds as well. So, anyway, I was talking about bureaucracy. Since we initially got our TIE, we've had to do our renewals for years 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, and again we did them ourselves. Everything went really smoothly. I think it's really just a case of understanding what is required, and my knowledge, I can read the Spanish pretty well. My Spanish is okay, so I can manage to navigate my way through. But as with everything, for a fee, there's lots of professionals that will help you to guide you through the process. So it's not really anything that you need to be concerned about. It's just me. I like to do these things myself. I like to find out these things, and if at the end of the day it's something that I don't know what I'm doing, then yeah, I will consult somebody and ask them. But so far, we've managed to get through everything ourselves. The thing that amuses me about, I suppose, I don't know whether you call it bureaucracy or not, it's just like procedures, but in so many shops that you go in, when you get your till receipt, and if you pay by card, or they give you a paper factura, and they insist on stapling one to the other, so you have to wait until it's stapled together. And I remember being in one shop and the stapler had run out of staples, and you think, God, what's happened? So she had to go off, and I said, it doesn't matter. No, she had to go off and get some new staples, reload the stapler, and then staple my till receipt with my bank card receipt. So that's something that I find quite amusing here, but they seem to be quite insistent on it in a lot of shops. Other things with bureaucracy, well, we had a knock on the door one day, and it was 2 ladies from the Ayuntamiento, the local council, who gave me this form, which I had to sign for, and I really wasn't sure what it was all about, except it was to do with the empadronamiento. Well, we'd updated our padron fairly regularly, because for one thing, we'd changed address, and so I didn't really understand why we were getting this. And then when I read it, it pointed out to the law that said that every 2 years the local council has to check that people from non-EU countries with temporary residency, so that's your first 5 years of residency, they had to check that they were still here, and you had to sort of sign off the padron and sign back on it again. So when I understood that, I just went down to the Ayuntamiento, gave them the paperwork, and 2 days later it was all sorted. And then again they came earlier this year, so we had to do exactly the same again. So it's just the law. Lots of people said they'd no idea why that happened, but then most of the people were here pre-Brexit, and they just didn't understand the procedures that we now have to go through as non-EU citizens. So yes, there is a level of bureaucracy, more bureaucracy since we left the EU, but that's not Spain's fault. That's always been their rules. Prior to Brexit, it was their rules, so they're just enforcing the rules that were already in place. So if you want to come to Spain, you just have to find out what you need and comply with their rules. Simple as that. So I just want to talk about getting around the island, and certainly getting around Playa Blanca. And when we arrived, we didn't have a car. The plan was to get a hire car, and just to not a permanent hire car, just every so often we'd hire a car and get around to look at properties and do the shopping and other bits and pieces, see more of the island. But unfortunately, when we got here, because of COVID restrictions, there were hardly any hire cars available, and the ones that were, they were around about 800 euros a week, something like that. So I mean, fortunately, we decided to get a place in an area where there were lots of amenities, so we were in walking distance to shops and bars, and we were also on the bus route, so it was easy enough to get a bus into town. Taxis were pretty freely available then, again because there were not many tourists about because of COVID. I tried to buy a second-hand car. One thing I didn't want to do is buy a new car and have it sitting around not doing anything, and the reason for that is that the Brexit agreement didn't include any exchange of driving licenses, so you could only drive for 6 months on your UK license, 6 months after you'd arrived here. So I'd put my name down for a course to take the driving test here. It seemed a bit ridiculous about when you're sort of 60 odd, 65, 60, what was it? Seems a bit ridiculous at my age having to take a theory and a practical driving test, but that's what Brexit left us with. So I put my name down for the course, and then they changed the venue of the course, and because of the bus situation and then not having a car, I couldn't get to it. So I sort of shelved it for a while, and it actually ended up being 2 years that we didn't have a car, and we just used the bus to get around. Whether it was just around Playa Blanca or whether it was going to Puerto del Carmen, Arrecife, those were the main places that we went to. So we didn't find any issues in using the bus, other than of course you're tied to the bus times. And it was actually quite liberating not having a car, as well as saving us money on not buying the car and not having to insure it and pay for petrol and everything else. So to be honest, I didn't particularly mind not having a car. I did try to buy a cheap runabout from one of the dealers, but they said that they didn't have any on the island. It had to be shipped over from Gran Canaria, and you couldn't send it back. So if you didn't like it, that was tough. So you just had to actually say I wanted it without even seeing it or having a drive in it. So so I sacked that idea, and we just stuck with the bus. And eventually the driving license exchange was sorted out. So I changed my driving license for a Spanish one. Again, navigating the Spanish bureaucracy, I did it all myself, and it was a fairly simple process. You had to go for a medical test, psychophysical they call it, and then go to the DGT, the traffic office in Arrecife, hand over all your documents, and they give you a temporary permit, and then a few weeks later your driving license arrives in the post. So again, that wasn't too difficult, and to be honest, we quite enjoyed getting around on the bus. It's a really good bus service, and door to door, almost door to door for us. So that was good. The other thing, we for shopping, we found Hiperino online, and they also did deliveries to your door. So certainly for heavy items, it was absolutely ideal. Sometimes, you know, when you say that you'll accept substitutions and maybe the picker wasn't very understanding of what you wanted, and some of the things you got as substitutes were perhaps what you wouldn't have picked yourself. But no, the service was absolutely superb, and they'd arrive usually Friday afternoons. We'd arrange a delivery, and they'd arrive and bring everything in for you. And it's sometimes you got free delivery, sometimes it costs €7. Obviously, since we've had a car, we've not used that service very much. I think perhaps only once, but no, excellent service. Yes, buying a car. We did eventually buy a car. Got a little Volkswagen T-Cross, which is a very nice car, suits us down to the ground. It's fairly economical to run, and suits our purposes. And the procedure was really straightforward. Basically, go to the garage or the car dealership, say this is what I want, hand over the money. They did all the paperwork, sign here, and a couple of weeks later the car was shipped to Lanzarote, and I went and picked it up. So happy days. Life became a little bit more expensive because once we got the car, we then started going out to all kinds of different places and different shops and buying things that we wouldn't have possibly got before because we couldn't get them home on the bus, or we didn't want to, or it was difficult to arrange delivery. So yeah, it's when I said not having a car was liberating, I think possibly having a car is a bit more liberating. Talking about getting about is the travel discounts. Now, you may not be aware, but in the Canary Islands and also the Balearic Islands, you're entitled to, as residents, you're entitled to a big discount on ferries and plane journeys. So they are either between the islands, inter-island flights or ferries, or between the islands and the mainland. So the discount is around about 75%, and in order to get that discount, you often now with your TIE card you're approved online, so they will check their computerized system, and it says yes, you're entitled to the discount. Otherwise, you need what is called a viaje. They call it a viaje for short, certificado de viaje, that you get from the ayuntamiento. So when we went for ours, they started typing in all our details and then said, nope, you're not entitled to it. You're here, you're not an EU citizen, you're only on temporary residency, so you are not entitled to the travel discount. So unfortunately, until we've got our 5 years in, which is next year, then we can't get it. So the reason that we can't is we're not EU citizens anymore. So another thank you to Brexit. That's another advantage. Not. The cost, we've been over to Fuerteventura. The cost is like 50, I think it's €51 is the normal price each for a return journey. The residence price is €13. So that's a return journey. So you can see what a massive difference that is. So yes, we're looking forward to this time next year when we will qualify for the full travel discounts. This is another lovely place that I like to come and sit. Massive cave here. Often you see the seagulls going in there, nesting in there, and the beautiful waves crashing against the rocks. Yeah, nice place to sit and contemplate things. But anyway, what shall we talk about now? Healthcare. Yeah, obviously it's something that's uppermost in everybody's mind, particularly if you're making a move abroad, and as you're getting older, as to what the healthcare provision is like. Well, firstly, if you're a UK pensioner, then you can get the S1 from the UK Overseas Health Services, and that will entitle you to free health cover in Spain. And you can also use it for your visa application as well, so that pays for your health cover. If you're not, then you'll need to get private medical insurance, and for the rules for the visa, there's got to be no what they call co-payments, which what we would call an excess, and no exceptions, no exemptions. So it's got to cover everything. So people that have anything seriously wrong with them may have difficulties with if they can't get the private medical insurance, then they won't be able to get a visa. That's it, full stop. Obviously, like I say, if you're a UK pensioner, then you'll get the S1, so that won't be an issue. So when we arrived, we weren't UK pensioners, so we didn't have the S1, so we had to have private medical insurance, which cost us around about 3,000, I think. I can't remember if it's pounds or euros now, but for each year for the two of us. So I suppose that's pretty much equivalent to healthcare in private healthcare in the UK. Although I've never had private healthcare, so I don't know what the prices are. Then when we became UK pensioners, we got the S1. And as I was older than Anne, I qualified for my S1 first, and she qualifies as a beneficiary of mine. So, but I made the mistake of thinking that we just needed one S1, i.e. mine, but the health department here told us Anne had to have her own, so she managed to get her own S1 as a beneficiary of me. Then when she turned of pensionable age, 66 for her, when she turned of pensionable age, she then had to get an S1 in her own right. Even though the one sort of as a beneficiary of me was still acceptable, if I die first, then her S1 goes with it. So you need to get your own S1 as soon as you qualify for it, and it's a very simple process. You just I had to fill the forms in actually, but they changed the process now. I think you just ring up and they ask you a few questions, and then they issue the S1. You get it online and register that with the health department here, and then they issue with they send you a letter saying that you're entitled to Spanish health services, free health treatment. You take that to your local salud, and they register you, allocate a doctor, and give you the health card. So it's all pretty much pretty straightforward. Then they have an app which if you want to make a doctor's appointment, you can make an appointment either by phone. So if you just want a repeat prescription or to arrange a blood test, then you can do it by phone, or you can do it face to face. Now the policy at our salute is if you don't speak Spanish, you need a translator. I know lots of English people who will go and they don't take a translator, and I'm not sure how much Spanish they understand, and whether anything gets lost in translation. But my Spanish is okay, I can get by, but I must admit I have difficulty in understanding the doctor with some of the things that he says. So in order not to lose anything in translation, we always take a translator with us, unless it's just something like we want the form to arrange a blood test, or we want to get a repeat prescription. And I think it's important, and some people will say, well, oh, just speak English, they can speak English. Well, you know, we're in Spain, either speak Spanish or take a translator. And yeah, I know some doctors will just speak English, but to be fair to them, you know, if they're treating you, their native language is Spanish, and they understand medical terms in Spanish. if they get something wrong in English, then whose fault is that? So so I suppose you pays your money, you takes your choice. So I just consulted my little notebook before I left here, and realised that I didn't mention the convenio especial as regards healthcare. Now, once you've been, if you've not got an S1, once you've been in Spain for at least 1 year, then you can apply for what is called the convenio especial, which, as the words mean, it's a special arrangement where you can pay for public health care. And I think here in the Canaries it's, or certainly in Lanzarote, it's around about 70 euros a month per person, which probably works out cheaper than private healthcare. I think when you're 65 it then goes up significantly to around about 130, something like that. Now, as healthcare is organised regionally, it may not be available in all healthcare regions, in all the regions of Spain, and the price of it may be different. So you'll need to inquire about that wherever you're going. But as I say, you can only get that after you've been in Spain for 1 year. So certainly for your first year, you'll need private medical insurance, and as you need to renew your residency before the expiry of 1 year, then you will need to provide your health insurance for the second year as well, and then maybe after that you can go on the convenio especial. Okay, let's talk about the cost of living. It's one of the things that anybody moving to Spain will be thinking about. And how does it compare with the UK? Well, of course, it largely depends on what area of Spain you're going to, because like the UK, it's different depending on the region. House prices, rentals, even shopping, everything's different depending on where you go. Now, here in Playa Blanca is probably one of the more expensive places in Spain, and I suppose if you're in Madrid and Barcelona, Malaga, places like that, I imagine it's something similar. And the Balearic Islands, Mallorca, I would imagine it's just as expensive or even more. But I find cost of food has gone up a lot. I mean, we all know the world problems that has caused the rise in food prices generally, and certainly they rose in the UK. But I just things like, you know, bread and butter, well, basically, literally bread and butter. Now you can pay over €3 for a pack of butter, and a loaf of bread about €2.50 for a small loaf of that's the local bread. You can get Warburton's bread, my favourite, for €4, frozen of course. And then I mentioned earlier about my arm's aching. I mentioned earlier about property prices and how they shot up. And somebody sent me a picture the other day of a house in mainland Spain, 2-bedroom house, detached villa, its own plot and own swimming pool, and it was €165,000. And you know, here you're paying, well, in this area 400,000 for something like that. So obviously a massive difference in prices. And when I talk about rentals as well, like we were actually fortunate in that our rental, it was a 3-bedroomed detached villa with a swimming pool, and it only cost us €1,200 a month plus bills. I know the price of that one has gone up now, and I'm not surprised, because I think it was quite cheap. But many others, you know, you're talking about that for a 1-bedroomed apartment now. So, and if you can get a 3-bedroom villa, you're probably talking at least €2,000 a month. So, and the rest. So yeah, property prices are significantly higher here than they are in other parts of Spain. So again, it's regional variations. You need to research where you intend to live and see what the prices are in those areas. What else? I suppose, I mean, one thing that everybody talks about, of course, is taxes. That's not taxes as taxes that you get a riding from town after you've been out on a night out, but taxes that you pay to the hacienda. And it's fair to say that generally taxes are higher in Spain. Well, then, you know, they also provide more like public services, public transport. So that has to be paid for. Local taxes are like the equivalent of council tax, which is called the IBI. Local taxes are a lot less. I mean, in the UK we were paying, at our last bill, was around about £1,800 a year for our council tax, and here we're paying just over 400, about 420 I think it was this year. So just about 420. But then we live on a community, so we also have to pay community fees, which are around about the same again. So in total we're probably paying about 800, about 850, something like that, in our IBI, and that includes the rubbish collection and our community fees. So certainly less than half what we pay in the UK. Electricity, that's our only form of power, electricity, and we're paying around about 80-90 euros a month, something like that. So I'd say on average around about €1,000 a year. Now obviously we don't have central heating in the house, it's not necessary. We don't have air conditioning, we don't find that necessary either with the breeze. But we have a couple of little heaters that occasionally we bring into the lounge during the winter time when it gets a little bit cold. But other than that, it's really not necessary. And so, you know, I mean, when we were in the UK, we had oil central heating, we had a wood burner, and we had our electricity. And in total, probably for the year, we're probably paying at least twice as much as what we're paying here. So that's a saving as well. Petrol prices are a lot lower. Saw a report the other day, and it said that the average price of petrol in Lanzarote was about €1.10. I think I paid $1.15 the other day, so it's effectively like the current exchange rate is $1.15. So effectively it's £1 a litre. I've no idea what it is in the UK at the moment, but I'm sure it's significantly more than that. Road tax, it cost me €12 for the year, and car insurance, I think it was just over €400. So I think I think it works out pretty similar to what I was paying in the UK, but that does include roadside assistance. So whatever I was paying to the, I think I was in the RAC in the UK, whatever I was paying to the RAC for the year, then that's a saving there. So that's beneficial. Water. Gosh, I'm having to change arms again. It's hard holding this up. It's only a little camera, but it gets heavy. I must be getting weak. Water. You get residence rates for water, so it's a bit cheaper, and comes in for us around about €30 a month, something like that. So that's certainly less than we paid in the UK. Not that much less, but less than we paid in the UK. Now, I mentioned shopping was quite expensive, except for the booze. Yeah, like a reasonable drinkable bottle of wine, about €3 or €5 at most. But eating out, again, we've been away from the UK for 4 years, haven't been back, so I've no idea what it's like, what the prices are eating out, but there are some reasonably priced places here. But of course, have to remember as well, we're in a tourist area, so there's lots of people coming on holiday. They're not really looking at the price of food that much, because they're expecting to pay that kind of money when they go out. So I think, you know, an average fillet steak is something around €23, something like that. I've seen them cheaper in places. I've seen some at €15. So it depends where you go, but it's not. I don't think it's cheap to eat out here. We even went to the Telly Club the other day in where was it we went? Arietta in the north, expecting it to be quite cheap, and they charged us $4.50 for a large beer. $4.50. I'm just going to come down here and just have a look at the charcoals down here. The other thing about the Canary Islands is they have a different VAT regime, or I should say equivalent to VAT. In the mainland, VAT is 21%, but in the Canaries it's called the IGIC, and there's some different rates. Like in the UK, there's different rates applicable, but the maximum rate is 7%. So you can get a bit of a saving on things like that. I ordered some things from mainland Spain, and because it's in the Canaries, they don't apply the 21% VAT. They apply the 7% EGIC. So that's a saving for some things. The other side of that is that being an island, it's difficult to get hold of certain things. You know, we're sort of used to going online, finding what you want, have it sent round, and that's not always possible here. Or sometimes you can find it's one of the frustrating things, well, certainly with Amazon, is that you'd find what you wanted, and then even Amazon Spain say no, we don't deliver to the Canaries. So sometimes it can be difficult getting hold of the things that you want, and also that being an island, it contributes to the cost of goods, as pretty much everything has to be imported. So So that makes the cost of lots of products a lot higher. Anyway, let's talk about making friends. We've all had to leave our friends behind, good friends in the UK, and it's been nice when they've come out on holiday to Playa Blanca and come to visit us. That's really lovely to see them. But obviously, you know, you've got to make friends here, and I think being in you know, where there's a large British community has made it a lot easier to make friends. The British people here tend to have sort of like coffee mornings and organised clubs, monthly dinners where everybody meets up and has a chat, and you learn things from people that have lived here longer than you have. And it's just of course these are like social occasions, but also you can learn things from other people, share experiences. So that's been very useful for us for meeting new people. But also we have Spanish neighbours as well, and I wouldn't say they're friends, they're just the neighbours who we chat to every so often. Nice people. I think they think that I understand more Spanish than I do, but it is nice to be able to have a little conversation with them every so often anyway. So yeah, we've not found it difficult to make friends. I mean, we're not antisocial people, but you know, you get into the routine here of ordinary life. You know, it's not like we're here on holiday, and you're not going out partying all the time, or eating out all the time, or going to bars all the time. So you know, some people say, what do you do all day? So well, you know, you've got a house to look after, a house to maintain. If you're here on holiday, you probably, you know, if you're not in a hotel, you might be in an apartment or serviced apartment or villa where, you know, they come and give you fresh towels and fresh sheets every so often and do a sweep up, a clean round. Well, here, unless you employ someone to do that, which obviously we don't, you've got to do it yourself. You do your cooking, your cleaning, your washing, you're changing the beds, going out doing the shopping. So all the regular things that you would do when you're in the UK. So you know, many a nights we'll just say, well, we'll have our tea and then we'll sit and watch a bit of telly and then go to bed. Is that boring? No, it's just normal life. You know, it's normal everyday life. Yeah, we like to go out. We go out walking, and you know, I have go out with a little walking group, and good friends. Anne's made friends that she goes out with on a social occasion once a week. So there's lots of kind of clubs like craft clubs and walking clubs and various other activities that you can get involved in if that's what you like to do. But I would imagine if you were, if you weren't in if you were in a sort of out of the way, totally Spanish area, unless you were firstly, a pretty good Spanish speaker, and secondly, perhaps working or involved in something that got you involved in the community, then I would think it would be quite difficult to make friends, to be honest. But again, I suppose that's why, for I suppose the comfort reasons that we tend to gravitate towards places where there are other British speaking people, so you can get to know more people. So I think that's it on making friends. Not much else to say. Just come here, meet people, enjoy yourself. Well, I suppose that brings me nicely on to my final topic, and that's language, learning Spanish. Should you learn Spanish? Do you need to learn Spanish? Should you learn Spanish? Yes. Even if it's only to be polite, you know, a few words of Spanish. I started learning Spanish years ago. I'm by far from fluent. I don't think I'll ever be fluent, to be honest. And when I listen to some of the conversations around here, I just find I just can't understand a word that some of the people are saying. Or people say to me, oh, it's no problem because they have a really heavy accent here, and well, it doesn't help me understand them. Although I do go into some of the bars and speak with people, and you know, the bar staff who are Spanish are very sympathetic towards me. That's what you need, a sympathetic speaker and a sympathetic listener. But no, being serious, yeah, my knowledge of Spanish has been extremely useful from the very start of the process in actually being able to read the law and the various documents in Spanish and understand them and interpret them. And it's helped us no end in terms of sorting out all the things from our TIE to our residency renewals, the empadronamiento, getting free bus passes, all kinds of things. Except, as I said, going to the doctors. We always take a translator when we have to go to the doctors. Fortunately, that's not very often. So yeah, it's definitely a good idea to learn Spanish. And yeah, as you get older, it's not easy. You have to put the work in. And when I've seen these courses that say learn Spanish in 3 months, well, I don't know anybody that's learned Spanish in 3 months, unless they're a genius. But of course, there's so many apps to help you these days. So many things that you can do online. YouTube. I mean, I still watch YouTube videos in Spanish, both you know, teaching videos, and there's some really good ones, and some in particular that just help you with various things like the two different verbs to be, ser and estar, and the other thing that gets people confused, por and para. So you know, just looking at videos for things like that. But I like listening to conversation as well. And as I say, I read quite a lot. I get audio books in Spanish, and also the written book as well, usually on my Kindle, and listen to the audio and read the book at the same time. So that's I found that very useful. As I say, there's so many courses that you can look at online, and so many apps. That really, I suppose, it's what you feel is best for you. You know, my wife Anne, she has been doing Duolingo for quite some time, and it's a very popular app. I've used it myself, and to be honest, I still do dip into it every so often, and she swears by it. I keep telling her to look at various other things, but she's sticking to Duolingo, and she's doing pretty well with it, and she's also got quite confident at speaking. When we first came here, she'd say, oh, will you ask for this or will you ask for that? And but now she says, let me do this. I want to ask for this. I want to do this, and so it's really boosted her confidence. So I think like we would all say though, sometimes people think that when you speak in Spanish, and people think that oh yeah, you understand Spanish then, and they come back to you 100 miles an hour and you say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. So you have to keep asking them to repeat it or repeat it more simply. And certainly one thing that I find is speaking on the telephone. It's not too bad face to face, but speaking on the telephone, I find that extremely difficult. But you know, I keep trying, and I certainly suggest if you're thinking of moving to Spain, start learning Spanish now, because the more time you put in now, the better it will be, the easier it will be for you, and it does make things a lot easier, and you can find out what's going on more easily as well if you understand the language. So definitely learn Spanish. So I'm back here at Coral Beach Villas in front of villa number 23, where our journey started, not just in this video, but for us 4 years ago this week. We've had a fantastic 4 years. Would we do anything differently apart from finding a rental property first before we actually came here? No, we wouldn't. No, it's been a fantastic adventure. We're loving every minute of being here. I'm looking forward to at least the next 4 years here, and all I can say is thank you very much if you've made it to the end. I hope you've found the video useful. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if not listening to me, at least seeing some of the beautiful scenery that we've got here in Playa Blanca. So until the next time, take care and nos vemos pronto.